G'day everyone, it's Curtis here and welcome to an On the Back Wheel video. Today, I'm doing my long-term review for the Suzuki V-Strom 800DE. Now I've had the bike for over a year now. I bought it in September last year, I believe it was, or even June, about that time. Now up to 9,000 kilometers roughly, and done all types of riding on the bike. Spoiler alert, I really like the bike. I think it's a great all-rounder. Now I've done a fair few mods to the bike. I put the Hepco and Becker crash bars on, the Suzuki OEM high seat, the SC Project Rally exhaust, a lithium battery coming around. I put on a GPS unit from Chiji, and I've also done the Viridian cruise control, changed the tyres. I have removed the rear foot pegs and relocated the spring preload to here. I never have a pillion on, so I just take the rear pegs off straight away, but it is attached to the right rear peg, the preload, so I removed that and just zip tied on there. It's been great, to be honest. No issues at all, and it is out of the way. I've also got the SRC bash plate on the bottom. That's been fantastic and saved my bacon a lot of times. And at the front, we've got the Rad Guard engine protector and radiator protector. And I've also hardwired the GPS. I've spliced in from the back here from a 12-volt line and run it all the way through to here. I did that when I did the cruise control because the tank was off already. Enough about the mods, let's talk about how the bike performs. The engine has got to be one of the best adventure bike motors on the market today. It is fantastic, guys, in terms of power and characteristics. It's grunty, it's punchy, and it's got a lot of mid-range. It kind of signs off on top, but that's completely fine. It's got more than enough horsepower for all types of riding. 1-up, I can't comment on 2-up because I don't ride 2-up. It's a fantastic motor, guys, and the fueling, perfect. Now it's got 3 engine maps, A, B, and C, A being the most aggressive. I've tried the other ones, I don't like them at all. I just stick it in A. It's got 80 horsepower, you know. Just leave it in the most aggressive, guys. The fueling is perfect in it. The gearbox is great. I really like how smooth it shifts. The quick shifter works fantastic, both up and down. The clutch, it's not light, it's not heavy, and the action on it, pretty spot on. Handling, it's a really nice handling bike. It is a bit heavy. When you're pushing the bike around the garage, it is heavy, it's noticeable. It's a big lump of a thing. But the weight is all pretty low down. It's still reasonably hard to pick up just because it's 230 kilograms, but that weight is low down. So it doesn't feel as heavy as it is when you're riding, both on the road and off-road. I still would like that weight to be down there. It's a bit of a porker, but we'll get on that later. The suspension, it's very, very good. The quality is there, but it's too soft. You can even see just me leaning on it, like look at that. Like it's just too soft and lacks a bit of bottoming resistance, especially in the front. I have put in the preload at the front and the rear, and that has really helped, guys. It's got a lot of adjustability in it, but for me, I would still need to go up some spring rates on it and maybe change a tiny bit of valving or even just do the spring rates. It's very good suspension. It's plush and comfortable on the road, it soaks up the bumps. Off-road, just when you want to push, it starts to really get a bit out of control and buck and bump. It's just too soft. So I think some harder springs would definitely fix that. I am 90 kilograms without gear on. So I suppose kind of an average kind of size. If you're lighter, say 70, 75 kilograms, you may not need to do it. But if you're on the bigger than scale and you're pushing off-road, you're going to need to change the springs. If you're not pushing off-road, you're just doing cruisy adventure bike riding, it'll be pretty spot on. The brakes are very good brakes. They're smooth, easy to use, and powerful, especially the front. On that note, you can turn the rear ABS off. It's very simple to do, but not the front. It loosens the front. I'd like the option to be able to turn it off, but now I've changed the tyres to a more aggressive front tyre. It's actually pretty good. And I don't have any issues off-road, even generally in the mud, but there's the odd moment here and there where it still plays up. So I would like the option to be able to turn it off. Maybe they'll do it in the future, but they probably won't, but you never know. Tyres. The stock tyres are very good road tyres, but awful off-road. Look, if you're doing just basic dirt roads and gravel, like travel riding, they will be fine. But everything else, they're no good, guys. I've put on a couple of sets of tyres now. I had the Pirelli Rallies on, Rally Race front and Pirelli Rally rear. Now I'm on the Motos dual venture tube type front. It's quite aggressive, and on the Motos Rally rear or Rally Z, depending where you're from. With a good set of tyres on it, this is so capable, guys. It's a really capable bike, and you're able to push quite hard and hang with some smaller bikes on it. Your limiting factors are your ground clearance. It is quite low slung and wide down the bottom. I've actually scratched up the engine casings a little bit in a couple of spots just from rocks, trying to squeeze through or dropping on rocks. So maybe some protection down there would really help, or ride it where it's supposed to go. That was doing rides, you know, where this bike doesn't belong. Which gets me to the weight. I'd love it if it was like 10 kilos lighter, guys. I don't know how they do it. Everything on it's just so beefy and chunky, and it's overbuilt. It's a Suzuki. They just overbuild everything, which is great. You know, it's going to last. But it's a chunky girl. It's a big girl. So I'd like it to drop down to say 220 kilos and just be more in line with the competition. Speaking of the competition and the price, I bought this for, I think it was $18,000 Australian right away at the time. It was a bit of a tough sell at that price. It was priced in between, say, a Touareg and the Honda Transalp. It's a bit in no man's land. They've now dropped the price. I think it's $16,990 right away Australian at the moment. That is a cracking price, and people are getting them way cheaper. I know people personally who've bought them for $15,000. For that price, I don't think there's a better value adventure bike on the market. That is insane value. Even $16,990, that's great buying, guys. It's got all the technology you need. Doesn't have cruise control. Do you need it? No. For $18,000, yes, it should have come with it. But for $16,990, I'm happy to overlook that. It's a very good bike, guys, and it's more of an all-rounder. It's kind of in its own market there. Transalp is pretty road-focused. You need to modify it to make it off-road capable. I do see they've done some updates for it for next year, but we'll see how that goes. The Touareg, much more expensive and very off-road focused, and the motor doesn't have the grunt of this. Same with the T7, and then you're jumping up to stuff like your Tiger 900s and stuff, which are in a completely different class, guys. They're a much better bike, but they're also much more expensive. So it's kind of in a real sweet spot. It's a good all-rounder, it's very solid off-road and good on the road. I think they've done a very good job, to be honest. Now, in terms of necessary modifications, I've done a fair bit. Modifications I would recommend. The first thing you need to do is a good set of handguards. I haven't done it. Let's not go there. I should have done it, but I haven't. Hepco and Becker crash bars, I really recommend them. They've been fantastic. They look good and they're strong. And on these new adventure bikes, guys, if you're riding off-road, you really need a good set of crash bars. Everything just made of plastic, and stuff's expensive when it breaks on these, and they're heavy, so when they fall, stuff bends and breaks. And you need a bash plate. You can leave off the other stuff. You don't need the other stuff. You don't need cruise control, even though it's really nice to have. You don't need a GPS unit. You don't need exhaust and other stuff. You need a bash plate first, because that engine cradle, yes, it's great, it's there, but it's not the strongest. And I didn't have a bash plate initially, and I did some damage to that engine cradle in various parts, just bent it out of shape and crushed some things. So I had to really lever it and bend it back into shape before it could fit the bash plate. Now I've got that on, fantastic, no issues at all. And the handguards, look at this for example. That's not even pulling outside. They're just wind deflectors, guys. They're awful. They are truly awful. So get a good set of handguards and you'll be fine. And then, surprisingly, I have broken both sides of the levers, just the ends off. It did it quite easily, but I haven't actually broken anything. It is a tough bike. The handlebars haven't bent, nothing's bent on the couple of drops that I've had. Nothing is out of shape. It is a very tough, well-built bike. It's just an overbuilt Suzuki. So you know it's gonna last. I've never had an issue with it at all. It's never not started. It's always run perfectly. It's been hard to fault from a reliability standpoint. The airbox access is easy to do. You just pop the seat off and it's all right here. I don't like the paper air filter, kind of how it is. I'd like to put a foam style in, so I would change that. They're quite expensive though. And I've only seen the metal style at the moment, which I don't like for off-road bikes. I would look at changing that. You can also update or change the airbox cover or lid, or take it off completely. If you get the DNA cover, then just run a pre-filter or no pre-filter. I definitely recommend running a pre-filter. I've taken off the airbox snorkel and it hasn't changed the fueling. With the exhaust, it just runs a little bit cleaner, I would say. It just feels a bit freer. Tiny bit more power maybe from seat of pants feel, that's it. I haven't put it on a dyno or anything, but SC Project said, look, this is made to run with the stock ECU. It adjusts perfectly for it. If you're doing a full system, then you need to change the ECU. I did see Woolwich is doing ECUs for these now, or their tunes. They get some very decent gains, guys, especially in the bottom to mid-range. They're adding a lot, which would turn this into a bit of an animal, I think. You know, if you're getting about 90 horsepower out of it, and then a big jump in the bottom mid-range to increasing the timing on them, that'd be a lot of fun. I'd like to do it, but I'm not keeping the bike. If I was to keep the bike forever, which if I had a YouTube channel, I probably wouldn't be selling it, I would do the handguards, get the suspension done, and ride the absolute wheels off it. I really like the bike, guys. A couple of little things I want to touch on. The dash, I really like the dash. It's simple, clear, and easy to use. To turn the ABS off, it's like a couple of clicks. Traction control, 2 clicks, and it's all in the same line. You just go click, off, it's well done. Same for the engine maps. There's something to be said about simplicity, about easy to turn everything off. Traction control stays off, even when the ignition is turned off and on. ABS doesn't. You have to turn that off every time. So what I do is just, from stopping and talking to mates or setting up camera shots or something like that, I just leave the bike on. I've left it on for 5 minutes or so and just start straight up anyway. Wind protection, there isn't a lot there. You're not getting a lot of protection from the elements. There's a little bit, kind of hits you straight here, to be honest. If you're a bit shorter, it's probably hitting you here. I don't mind, and that doesn't cause any buffeting. You just, boom, it's all here. It's no weird buffeting or anything like that. But when it rains, you're copping it a fair bit. I haven't tried a bigger screen. Maybe someone can comment if they have. I saw some people said maybe it's not the best. The OEM one, I don't know what the aftermarket option's on. So wind protection isn't the best. Putting on luggage, the back has more than ample enough tie down points. There's a couple of nodules here and there. They can do it in holes. So that's fine. This seat, the high seat, I highly recommend it if you're 5'10" or over. It just makes it not as cramped. I am 6 foot tall and it's perfect. And it's so cushy and comfortable. It's a beautiful seat. The stock seat is comfortable. My old man, he rode the bike and he's 5'6", I believe. I put the standard seat back on for him and he's like, oh gee, it's a bit tall. I think a lot of that is because I cranked in the preload too. It's initially a bit high to get on, then it sinks down. They also do a low seat, so if you're shorter, you can really make this bike suit you, or if you just want to be comfortable on it. I think the standard seat is going to suit most shorter riders, but as soon as you get a little bit taller, I definitely recommend this high seat. And it's pretty cheap too. It was like $220 Australian from the dealer. I don't know if they got the price wrong, but I thought that was a cracking price. Oh, something I got to mention is the front light. It's pretty awful. Being out in the sticks a bit, I use it a lot and it's bad. I would look at putting auxiliary lights on for those long-termers out there. It's just not a good design in general, that light. It shoots in this like rectangle, boom, and quite low to the ground. I've adjusted up and then it just doesn't have the power as well. So it's just not a very good light. I think they should change that. Next model, if they update it, they should update the light. Add cruise control if they're keeping the price higher. If they're lowering it, that's fine. They don't need it. Put slightly harder suspension in it, and also have the ability to turn the ABS off at the front, and that'd be pretty spot on, hey. All right, that's it for me on the V-Strom 800DE. Sadly, I have sold the bike. It is going, and I'm moving on to the CF Moto 450 MT. Well, that's not sad. that's how things are. But riding this bike to get the roadworthy certificate the other day, I went, gee, that is a good bike. It really is a solid all-rounder, guys. I really like it. It's gonna be sad to see it go. If you own a Suzuki 800, let me know in the comments down below and let me know what you think about the bike. If you haven't, click that subscribe button and keep it on the back wheel. Catches.